There was a time when men were kind and when I cared about the lighting in my videos. There was a time and then it all went wrong. I put up fairy lights, I made some effort. Tell me you were a 2010s YouTuber without telling me. Hello, welcome to the Head Over Heels vlog. Thought I'd change up the vibes a bit on the vlog. I've got myself a cup of tea, gonna walk you through sort of what went down. Partly because it's fun to be creative and mix up the vlog a little bit, I think. Partly because I didn't film very much. And a part of that is because at the end of week 2, I was feeling a little bit frustrated, a little bit demoralised. I was feeling really achy, I was struggling to keep up, and a part of that is because of just using your body an awful lot. And a part of it is because my body has a few more years on the counter. Also, I was having a few body image extravaganzas because I'd had a costume fitting and the costume looked really good, it was really fun, but I caught sight of myself in the mirror and I was just like, ugh. And there's not a huge amount of logic behind that. That's something I've felt and I've spoken about a couple of times over the years, but in this occasion it really just like hit me, because obviously when you're an actor, you're on stage being perceived, you're being looked at, and when you feel like, oh, don't look at me right now, it's kind of a hard thing to, you know, make those two worlds meet. So I decided that this week I was gonna try and perk myself up, nip that in the bud. I thought I'd go and see some shows. Not only is it always really nice to go to the theatre, it's also good, I found in this context, to remind myself of what the end goal looked like. Like, even in the before times, I'd be starting to go like, oh, maybe it's time for me to hang up the old dream and accept that I'm never gonna be an actor. And then I'd go and see a show and I'd be like, oh, but. So I needed some of that energy, and I had some Today Ticks cash to use. When you've got a deadline, it's important to meet it. I'm gonna walk you through my trips to 3 very different shows, what I learned from seeing them, and a little bit of what happened last week. I walked into the rehearsal room on Monday feeling a little bit trepidatious, a little bit anxious, but I was like determined to leave last week in the past and really give it the old college try. I've been umming and ahhing about what show to go and see, and I was sort of flicking around the various different options. And then I got a message from my mate who was like, oh, by the way, I have a ticket to Gatsby tonight that I can't use if you'd like it. And I was like, sold! Done. Gatsby had an earlier start time for a reason that I still haven't quite worked out, but it meant I had to hightail it over from Mount View. Door to door in 50 minutes. All that stamina shit's working, lads. The production and the costuming was absolutely sensational. The dancing was off the chain, and I enjoyed playing the program game that I've done since I started at Mount View. You flick through all the cast bios, and you find anyone who's trained, like Jordan Crouch, training, Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts. Oh! One of us! There was so much to say about the Gatsby musical, but one of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if this is okay to admit, but I spent an awful lot of the show watching the MD monitor. I was in row B, there was so much to see in the stage, it was so beautifully designed, and the company were really selling it, not a single one of them let it slip at any point. But I had a perfect eye line for the monitors for the MD, and maybe it's because of being in rehearsal and Head Over Heels is like pretty much 4 to the floor, like the beat and the click is quite regular, but there are some notes and moments that arrive at really funky places, so I'm thinking about when I'm going to be able to see the MD, am I going to be able to cue that in, how does that work? And I couldn't help but have my eye drawn to this little ghost on the monitor, and it was Daisy who had songs where they would like kind of hold for a moment, and then the cue for the band would be her. So I was like, how do they sort of balance that between, like, obviously she wants to act in this moment, it's different every night, maybe this night she'll want to take a bit longer. And I'm kind of watching and seeing it all happen, how does the MD anticipate it? I found it fascinating. That was a really interesting learning experience. Next show I went to see was The Devil Wears Prada. This one was chosen by you lot on Instagram. I loved the audience for this one because it was clearly people who were so excited to go and see this show. They felt like they had to dress up. It was Kent mums. Do you know what I mean? They've come up to the West End for the evening, probably had a Pizza Express, tuck in the show, and then the second the curtain call starts, bang, out the door. If we leave now, we'll catch the 10:15 to Sevenoaks. And then there was me, in the clothes I spent the day training in. This one was interesting because the Dominion is such a massive theatre. Even for musical theatre, I wonder how it feels to sort of like fill that space. And one of the notes I've had over the course of the year is like, be bigger in your performance, like you can have a bigger energy. And I've spent so long on camera in this little box that I'm sort of like lowering things down a little bit, and when I think I'm going big, I think I'm being ridiculous, but apparently I'm not even necessarily going as far as entry level for musical theatre. So I was watching how they were navigating it, and I think there is something in just being a bit huge with it. Devil Wears Prada is an interesting show for that because obviously it's based on the movie and people are expecting certain lines to be hit, so you have to deliver the line in a way that the audience knows that the line is being hit and then leave a moment for them to luxuriate in that. But Vanessa Williams did the whole lumpy blue sweater monologue, And that character by Meryl Streep is so iconic for being so small. Like, she doesn't raise her voice. She speaks at this level. I think we need a jacket here. And Vanessa Williams is doing that character, doing that infamous speech, but in a bigger musical theatre way, but never in a way that makes you feel like she's really having it up. So that was fascinating to watch, and I really enjoyed it. The massive success of The Devil Wears Prada, though, if I may, was the frankly incredible way they made the boyfriend character actually likeable. Of course, as we all know, Nate, the boyfriend in The Devil Wears Prada, is one of the biggest villains in the history of cinema. Partly for the way he's so dismissive of Andy, but mainly for the way he claims to be a professional chef and burns a grilled cheese and then is indignant about it. So it's genuinely remarkable that they've actually turned it around for him. Good for you, lads. Nate and Andy have a big old number and they do a lot of snogging in it, and that was interesting because I had my first intimacy sessions this week. So this afternoon we've got intimacy. Not with each other, you understand. Do you want to do a little what's in my bag haul for the intimacy session? We've got a little travel size toothbrush. Got some, I got two, just in case Mia's forgotten.
That's
A mouthwash.
Can't wait.
It was in the offer. And if all else fails, just little gum. And some Viagra. And I'm really glad that that happens in the industry. It's baffling to me that that never existed before. I have a lot I could say about intimacy sessions, but I'll probably save it for another video because we're on to show 3. This was the thing that started it all. These were the tickets that I had first. It was for Carrie in Calamity Jane on its UK tour at the moment, and it hit the New Wimbledon Theatre. Oh, I love the New Wimbledon. I've seen Chicago there, I've seen Cats there. I love the New Wimbledon. And when I say I walk in and it smells like a theatre, do you know what I mean? A little bit dusty, warm, just very familiar smell. Oh, it made me happy. It was just nice to see like a classic old school musical. It flung me back into our bridging project when we were doing the Golden Age musicals, and I really liked it. It was Actor Muso, which always gets a big tick from me. And again, with the idea of like big performance, this was big, brash musical theatre, unapologetically like whip crack away. Well, blow me down. What finds a person like you in a bar like this? All that kind of stuff. And it also has to contend with a book that is like, it's very of its time. Suddenly in the second act, it starts going like, huh, women, eh? What are they like? But they managed to find like a charm and a humanity in the text and in their performances that made it so that it just felt anachronistic rather than like problematic, if that makes sense. And the whole time I'm just watching it with this big smile on my face, really loving these numbers, proud of my mate, and quite taken with the way that they're able to do this big musical theatre acting while not being camp and silly. And that's my end goal, really. I want to be able to do the big strokes as well as the small, finer detail stuff. I still left the week feeling a little bit demoralised. Demoralised is maybe too strong a word. Insecure. Fitness and stamina, it's a journey, it's a process. I think of myself compared to when I started this degree. My fitness has already improved. It will continue to improve as long as I keep putting the work in. But the boyfriend character in The Devil Wears Prada took off his top and he had a full-on 8-pack, and I just sat there and I was like, oh, I'm never gonna get cast in these. It was the same voice in my head that was speaking to me when I saw myself in my costume, which was like, you just don't look like someone who would play these parts. You look like a person pretending. I know that's kind of what acting is, and it's a whole thing, but it's hard to explain what that kind of voice says. And I was looking at the ensemble in Gatsby who was so pristine and all those incredible actor musicians, and I was like, Christ, this industry is competitive. And it's not helped by the Agents game that I'm currently playing. I'll tell you more about that next week, but we've been put on the website at Mountview and instructed to invite agents to come and see our shows. The next thing we'll be doing is our showcase. The time to the end of the year is really drawing in close, and thinking about the future, thinking about getting representation and actually going out into this job and trying to pound the streets and get work. It's all becoming very real, and there's something about staring at a page full of faces, trying to ascertain whether or not this agency might be the right fit for an actor like you, that really just like, oh, it's like concentrated imposter syndrome. And so when we had a dance call in rehearsal and I found myself struggling a little bit to keep up, the choreographer was like, can you just do this move for me and give it a little bit more? And I physically couldn't that day. It was just so easy to get really low and be really hard on myself. Fortunately, we ended the week with a fight call. And if I'm gonna give you all of the stuff about my self-doubt, I'll give you a little bit of the ego boost. I'm fucking great in a fight call. Put it down to the wrestling training, and not just the wrestling training, but the years with love to my little brother. absolutely massacring him in my living room wrestling ring. Stances, moves, fighting, it's something that just comes that little bit more natural to me than the other aspects of what we do. So it's nice to recognise that and go, yeah, okay, great, that's something that I can pursue. I'll go and get a little qualification in that, add that to the spotlight. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, I'll be in the MCU before Christmas. So yeah, this week was about noticing and recognising the things that I'm feeling, but trying to keep my eyes open, get a little bit of perspective, and cut myself a bit of slack, to be honest. We're halfway through the rehearsal process, we'll be in tech in 3 weeks, and then it's on to the show. Cripes. And I think these feelings of being a little bit like hard on myself and struggling and failing to see the wood for the trees is all part of the process. And what does the director keep saying? Trust the process. So that we shall do. I'll see you next week.